The views and opinions expressed on Smack My Pitch Up are those of the panelists and not those of GUI Network, their sponsors, or any of the properties mentioned. Listener discretion is advised. This podcast is rated R for violence, language, and nudity. Well, it's a podcast, so you won't see the nudity. I just do it to make the guest uncomfortable.
In a world gone mad with unnecessary reboots, remakes, and sequels, only one podcast has the guts to make it even worse. This is Smack My Pitch Up.
Hello, geeks, and welcome to another amazing episode of Smack My Pitch Up, the podcast that reboots, remakes, reimagines, sequels, sidequels, and adapts some of your favorite and least favorite properties from film, television, and what have you. And tonight, we're going to be discussing a cult classic, I guess is the best way to put it. It's not a classic by any stretch of the imagination. It is definitely a film that is appreciated for just how truly bad it is. We're talking about, of course, Ed Wood's Plan 9 from Outer Space. There's been multiple remakes that have been done of it before. It's been a inspiration to a number of different films as well. And I'm kind of interested to see how you take such a cult classic, terrible movie and transport it into some other version or another time period, you know, the person that's going to be helping me on this journey through plans 1 through 8 and officially plan 9 is local comedian and contributor to the GUI Network. We've got Carlton K here, the Carltron.
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
Hey, bud. You've been busy with, you've got your own little like interview show thing going on.
I do. Actually, I have a couple things I'm on, but the one that I'm running, yeah, I just started that back up
And
with some new people.
That's me throwing it to you so you can go, oh yeah, that's right.
I was building the suspense.
Okay, all right. Yeah.
No, it's called Help Wanted, and basically the comedy community is really tight-knit, and we literally spend all the nights of the week at open mics giving each other shit, and we haven't been able to do that in like 8 or 9 months, so it's just us calling and checking up on each other, and comedians always love a moment in the sun, so anytime you can put a camera in front of their face and put them online, they're excited to make jokes. So.
Well, a moment in the sun, except comedians like you, gingers, where that's kind of a detriment to your well-being to be in the sun for too long. But
oh yeah, because they always make a comment that I'm in my dungeon basement.
Yes,
when they see me online. So
I mean, you didn't help the matters very much by your decoration choices in your basement.
By making it look like a dungeon.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah, maybe that had something to do with it.
The worst part is the 50 Shades of Grey references that people always make.
No.
And I'm like, I've never read nor seen that hack crap. If they modeled a real dungeon after mine, then maybe but no, it's it never makes me feel good.
Well, you don't want to like make your basement embody a story that masks a really toxic relationship as a dom sub type relationship?
No, I do not.
No, okay.
I do not. Yes, I would rather not that get out. I can neither confirm nor deny.
Correct. Yeah, we will not get too deep into that part of your life. What we are going to get into, though, is Plan 9 from Outer Space. It was a film that you suggested that we did for this. It's that kind of in-between time of year. It's just at the very beginning of December, so I don't want to dive too hard into the holiday movies just yet. But
see, I like a nostalgia swell for the holidays. There's no real good Thanksgiving movie. So, I mean, I'm sure you'll get arguments for that, but in my mind, I don't have any on my shelf. So
until we did a new feature that we're doing on Smack My Pitch Up called The Shortlist, where I created a post-apocalyptic Thanksgiving movie and I cast it and created the story. And then we also have the Turkeyfied movies where we took movies that weren't Thanksgiving related and made them Thanksgiving related. So like a Thanksgiving Predator movie.
Okay.
And the like. So if
gotcha.
Hollywood picks up on that and decides to run with it, then we will have more Thanksgiving movies. But until then, you're correct.
There's only that one. There's actually like a slasher movie, and I'm sure you guys have probably covered it on
Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Well,
more.
no, actually, no, because Thanksgiving was the Eli Roth parody thing, right?
Oh, right. No. There's the.
Yeah, it's like the turkey. It's like a murdering turkey, and it's a little
Yeah.
puppet turkey. I can't remember what it's called
Yeah.
now, but it might actually be Thanksgiving because there's no real other pun you can make for Thanksgiving.
No, this is like what
Thanks taking
foul play.
uh,
That's not it.
no, that's not it at all.
That's too snooty high end for a slasher movie. But Plan 9 from Outer Space, for those that are unfamiliar, it was from the, I think, late 1950s.
Yeah, 53, I think, is when it came out.
Somewhere on there. And Ed Wood, who's become legendary as this complete trash director. This was really before the like Roger Corman movies started really blowing up, and that became its own genre almost, just schlock cinema. And Ed Wood was on the forefront of that. So there's so many directors in schlock that can really credit Ed Wood and his movies like Plan 9 from Outer Space for being the inspiration for that genre and the movies that followed.
Here's the thing. I'm not like such a huge Ed Wood fan that I would be like, these are his masterpieces. This is how everything. No, obviously, but it's more that the absurdity of what he was trying to do and what he was able to do in the 50s, like it's almost like the gold standard of crap. And the fact that someone was able to do it and
get away with it.
Well, not even get away with it. Just he was so convinced he was making good things. I think like it's hard, the Johnny Depp portrayal of him or whatever. Who knows how accurate that was? But like, if you just look at the body of work and how the things were just piecemealed together, it was like the idea of a movie being made was more important than the quality of said movie. Just the fact that I'm like, we are making a movie. That's it. Like that to me is just. I feel like I've been there before, but
right.
No one will ever remember me.
I definitely get that from just, anybody on the outside might be like, no, every episode of a podcast you do is perfect. And there's definitely not ones that you phone in. And I will say that is true for everything on the GUI network. But other podcasts I've heard occasionally have a weak one where it's just like, we got to put something out. Fuck it.
People will lose interest
right?
more.
But movie studios do that as well, especially in the 1950s. There was the big Red Scare happening, and the atomic age sci-fi and horror movies were really the cream of the crop. It was almost like in the early 2000s with Japanese horror films, where if you made any kind of crap in Japan and called it a horror film, it was going to be selling in the United States. It didn't matter. That was kind of the nature of the film industry at that time in the 1950s. So here comes Ed Wood, and he's not incorrect that just, no, having a movie is more important than it being good. Let's just throw some things on film and then call it a day. And Plan 9 from Outer Space, its big, hilarious contribution to the history of filmmaking is taking stock footage of Bela Lugosi and just like intercutting it into the movie so that they could put him on the movie as like a featured actor in this movie.
Yeah. So, it's hard to defend, I guess. Is really like, so there's my motivation behind this was twofold. The absurdity of it was one, obviously, because then it's just fun to make fun of it. But
sure.
The second part was I'm completely obsessed and fell in love with Lovecraft Country. And in my mind, that's the kind of remake, that stylized look, and in the time frame, all that stuff, that stylized look is how I would want the remake set and the tone that I would like for it.
Sure.
But just, good acting, better dialogue.
So all the things
tweaking the plot a little bit, maybe
just a touch. Yeah. So all the things that were not
take all the terrible out, I think is really what I'm getting.
Then you just get the title. Like that's all that's left.
And even the title is not that
great. I love when the title is basically explained in the movie when they shoot to the aliens, and the head alien looks like he's one of the actors at that place where knights fight each other where you eat turkey legs.
Yeah.
He's got like a battle axe logo on his shirt, the alien, and it makes no sense.
No sense. It makes zero. Yeah. I watched it again recently just to, refresh the memory. And you see, sometimes what's funny is, as poorly made as it is, because of what you're focused on at the time, the next time you see it, you could be focused on something completely different. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
oh, that was bad. And it's like, you know what? I never even noticed that was there. Like, it gets worse as you watch it. But I think that's why people love it so much. People that actually love it for real. I think that's why. It's like you notice things, but it was so low budget. You can't believe you didn't see it before because there's only 4 things in the shot.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? It's like I didn't even realize that. And all that. Like, so when I watched it again, I looked at it with another eye, and it was just ridiculous.
And the actors, just some of the absolute worst acting that's ever existed on film is in this movie as well.
This was another thing I noticed too. I don't even consider it acting. Like, the way all the lines in that movie are delivered by everyone, except for maybe the head alien dude, but he just sounds like an announcer.
Sure.
Everyone's literally just saying their dialogue. They're not acting. They're just saying what was on the page with very little to no emotion.
None.
And no timing in between. No, like, oh, this sounds like a regular conversation. Like, while that person's finishing their line, the other person's like, no, Barbara. Like, just cutting each other off just because that's where they are in the script. Like, it's so bad.
I like they announce their emotions a lot in this film as well, where it's like, I'm scared, Jeff. You know,
yeah. Don't be. Like, it's, yeah. That's the thing. So my thoughts for it and why it works for Smack My Pitch Up is because even you said there were multiple remakes when you were making the intro, but I think there's only one actual remake that called itself that.
I know there's one.
It was like in 2015 or something.
That was called Plan 9, and then there's
that was all it was called.
It was just called Plan 9,
but it was still a remake.
Yes, and there's a lot of movies that are kind of homage
adjacent.
Yeah, like one that I actually really enjoy. That if you haven't had the chance to see it, it came out in like the early 2000s. It was an Australian alien zombie film called Undead, and it very much kind of has the same tone as or the same storyline basically as Plan 9 from Outer Space. It's like a rural town, and aliens come and they make the dead come back and kill the living, and the living are trying to find a way to like stop it. And that's the entire plot of Plan 9 from Outer Space, but they're just do it in a goofy like zombie comedy Australian movie version.
No, I hadn't seen that one, but
very good. I very much suggest giving that a look if you like zombie horror comedies.
2000s?
Like 2004 or 5, maybe somewhere around there.
I mean, the name sounds familiar.
So you're thinking more like that stylized kind of like.
Yeah. So I still think like I wouldn't remake it modern. I would remake it like in the 50s, like exactly the same style. Like, because I did notice that like one of the scenes where there's a car, the cop car is the same as the other car is the same as the other car, except for the convertible, which there's a shot where the dude says goodbye to his wife and gets in the passenger side of the car and slides over to the driver's side. I have no idea why. Like, even the motions on screen look awkward, not just the dialogue. Like, that's how bad it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, so stylized like the 50s, because like I said, like, when I started watching Lovecraft Country, I mean, I associate, Plan 9 and all that stuff from the 50s, but it's like the weird 50s, not like the Back to the Future 50s.
Sure.
So when I was watching Lovecraft, it was like, oh my God, I love the way this looks. I love even the clothes they did were like amazing. And if you could like transport those people in that era looking, and, even the way they filmed it, if you could, that's just kind of the brainchild for it. Transfer that and then have an actual, like, little more cohesive script of Plan 9 put together.
Sure.
And then, like, just, better dialogue. Like, just pump everything that's in it up to now, but make it look like it did then. And, obviously better effects, but.
Sure. That's not a high bar.
I could draw on a piece of cardboard right? And it would be better effects.
The best is the flying saucer scenes in this fucking movie, where it's clearly just little badly made models of flying saucers that are just hanging on string, and then at some point they have stock footage of the military shooting off missiles, and the look of it is so wildly different than the rest of the movie, and then it cuts to the saucers and there's little like pew, 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 little sparks shooting off near them. It's the most absurdly
it absolutely
looking thing ever.
Well, the best part is like they show. And again, this is just a testament to how horribly horrible it is. Every time they show the flying saucer, it's, round and silver and like, thin. And then when they showed the ship, like where they find the entrance to the ship, which
It's
is
like,
a
it's
ladder
a building.
glued to a wall
Yeah.
and a door. Yeah, well, and I don't even think it's a building. I literally think they just leaned 2 pieces of plywood up together and painted it.
And then all the interiors, it's like, I didn't realize that they stuccoed the inside of a spaceship.
Well, that, and they just had their equipment on a table
Right.
that flies the spaceship is on a table behind them.
I love it so
Where's
much.
the coffee maker? Oh, you just launched missiles. Like they have no.
Oh, it's nonsense.
It's so bad. And that's actually what's funny. One of the things I noticed watching it again was the big fight scene at the end where he's, punching it out with this alien and things in the background start to burst into flames. They're pyrotechnics guy, off the chain. But when they start fighting or whatever, one of the tables falls over and flips over. And again, they didn't like dress it up or anything. It's a table. It's a wooden table, like on a spaceship. But so when they flip it over, that's what I noticed this time was I'm looking at it going, Jesus Christ, that's just a table. Like, how did I not notice that before? Oh, because I was too busy paying attention to the other random crap in the background that makes no sense. Like, so like that's what I meant by seeing other things. Like that just struck me as odd because yeah, just put it in the corner there. That looks like a spaceship. Let's roll. Like,
yeah, right.
I just try to put myself in his mindset, and it's impossible.
It's definitely like there was no money to make this film. He got a chance to where there was producers out there that were like, oh, well, if you make a thing, we'll distribute it. Fuck it. Who cares? And he just did what he could with what he had.
It got that much distribution.
No, but I mean, it got enough where it turned enough heads that it's still around today. I mean, that in 2020,
they made it into a DVD. Yeah. I mean, I'll give you that.
Now, I like the idea of you kind of doing like a stylized 1950s approach to this film, and kind of like building it out a little bit more. It's got to be camp. There's no way you can't do this as like you can't do this seriously. You got to have a little bit of.
That's what I was saying. When they had every intent of it being serious. Like they meaning all the multiple personalities in Ed Wood's head, but the people who were acting in it as either favors or whatever, they were playing it all straight. Like even Vampira and Tor Johnson was like, you could tell there was no campiness to them. That was their real acting. Like,
oh, Tor was so bad.
Like, I mean, him. To say that he makes a better zombie than he does a human because of the way he delivered the dialogue before he dies. I was like, you do a way better job as just a zombie. Because it's so, oh God.
I'm wondering
just thinking about it gives me anxiety.
I'm wondering if that was the actor that was really being studied by the, in Death to Smoochie, there's that boxer who's like punch drunk.
Yeah.
And he ends up delivering lines on the Smoochie show. And I swear that he's channeling Tor in his role in Death to Smoochie because the weird pacing of bad acting is almost exactly the same.
Yeah. Yes. Like I can't even articulate.
Now, what I'm actually looking at doing is kind of celebrating the absolute total crap that this movie is by doing like a campy version, but intentionally having, like the microphone dip into the shot and there being like a piece of the set peeled away a little bit, it being on tables, just really.
I mentally am seeing it in a totally different direction. But the tone and the level of Lovecraft Country is really what I was like, man, it would be cool if Plan 9 was like this. So basically, all of my jumping off points are based around that.
No, that's great, and that's why we're gonna.
But see, I actually see it depending on how well the script is written, and who writes the script is a big part of this.
Sure.
When I say rough outline, I'm talking real rough. Like we use these things, and my favorite thing that they do, and I know this makes me sound like Peter Griffin. That's what it is. When they say the name of the movie in the title, or the title of the movie in the.
Yep.
Starlight Express or whatever. So, that was
Craig Robinson is like, looks like we have ourselves a hot tub time machine.
Yeah, like that.
Cool.
But when lines of dialogue are reused in a remake, you know what I'm saying? Like I like that. I'm not talking about. I wasn't actually saying saying the title of the movie, but I meant along those lines where like just one piece of dialogue or one snippet of dialogue that they stick in that's from the original
Sure.
and they do it kind of, you know what I'm saying? They even did it with Star Trek, for crying out loud.
Right.
But there's like, but I wanted them to use like my only campiness factor for it would be one of the extremely dumb lines of dialogue from the alien to them at the end, because those always stick in my head. The one where he's like, because all of you on Earth are idiots. And he just says it so matter of fact, but it makes no sense, and it just made me laugh. And then the worst one of them was like, your stupid mind, stupid. It's like, you couldn't have written, like, I don't understand. But if they were to be able to use one of those lines somewhere in a much more grittier, serious, like, take on the storyline, I think it would be funny. Like, I don't know why that just tickles me. The idea of it just makes me happy.
I do love that, like, Ed Wood must have watched The Day the Earth Stood Still and went, oh, an environmental kind of underlying thing that we can throw into the movie at the end of the aliens being like, hey, you guys are fucking up and we don't want you to like fuck up the world, so like chill out or we'll destroy you. And he's like, I'll just do exactly the same thing, but I don't know how to write dialogue, so it comes off as you're stupid. You're stupid.
I mean, literally, that's the quote. It's the best, because he's like, even in normal conversation, the way that pacing and it just, I don't understand. I really don't. I guess they just didn't know. I guess the average person didn't know how to act, or how acting is a thing, I guess. The people that were, do you want to be an actor? What's that? Sure. Like, I don't think anybody in that knew.
Well, like, acting had only been like in movies and talkies, had only been around for like 35 years at that point. So they're like,
I think the other part of it was that in the 50s, like, that was when social media started to grow. Like, teeny boppers knew about what other from the radio and stuff like that. Like, that was social media. Like, before it was just, band music until everyone eats their cornbread and goes to bed. But
yeah, it's eerie how much you know about those old days. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like the 50s was when things started to really pick up and gain some speed, and then derailed with disco. But no, so the 50s were when people knew about things. So they knew, oh, the name of that movie star, and they knew that, and the kids were starting to drive things forward. And then I just feel like that's why some of those people were actors, because they were like, oh, I see this person on it, like, I can do that. And I think that's what they hinted to in Burton's version of, Ed Wood's life story was, though half the people were producers. Like, if you give me money, I'll let you be in my movie. Like,
yeah,
that was how he was getting stuff made. So I think the advent of that, of, kids listening to the radio and that information moving around a little bit more, as we started to civilize into the next 50 years.
Yeah.
I think they were just doing it because it was, I want to say glamorous, but no one really understood what that meant. Like, it was just in name only.
Well, it was still
someone will know my name, and that's important.
Being on film was still like incredibly cool and hip at the time. Unlike now, where if you have a phone, you can have your own channel that on the internet that people can pull up on their TVs to watch.
There's people that are millionaires that my kids watch, and I'm like, how is he a millionaire? Oh, he has like 40 million YouTube followers. I've never heard this person's name. What?
Right, like, what does he do?
How are they rich?
He plays video games and he talks during, and then people give him money.
Jesus Christ! Every time you talked when I was playing a video game, I told you to shut up.
Right?
These guys are millionaires from it. What the hell? Yeah. So,
is this like the two old dudes show now, where we're just like fucking kids?
Well, apparently I'm morphing everyone into that.
This is turning into like those terrible conversations that you have at a dive bar where it's like, if only we could transport back to the 50s, and then like you forget about like the overt like racism and like sexism
also
that happens. It even says it in Plan 9 from Outer Space. There's a line, and I'm paraphrasing, with something along the lines of Paula, the main, like, there's not really a main character in this series, but
it's all over the place.
She's like the pilot's wife.
Yeah.
She gets like hysterical, and then the investigator dude, Lieutenant Harper, is just like, women, he's like, yep, through all the generations they've been like that, especially when things are scary, or something super shitty.
Yeah. That was actually that was almost spot on. But yeah, and then the aliens at the end, the female alien starts to explain something to them, and he slaps her. He's like, no, you don't say, like, women don't talk, basically, is what he, like, even on our planet. Like, it was so horrible. Like, I do understand that. And, you know, if you're going to tell the story in the 50s style, you're going to have to include
aspects of that.
I guess, you know what I mean? Like, some of that, like, I mean, not to bring it back up, but Lovecraft does that in, you know,
yeah,
from tip to tail. It's they don't shy away from it. Again, I don't know how that translates to what I'm talking about doing with this, but I just like that look.
Well, let's find out. Let's get into our different versions. So I'm definitely doing the, like, kind of very meta, where there's a really badly made movie that is being remade as a bad movie, but it's like winking at the audience about how bad it is while it's happening. You're doing more of a 50s stylized, you know, still sci-fi movie.
Yeah. So my idea with it is to make it grittier, edgier, and smooth out the rough edges of the script.
Okay.
You know, like, make it so it makes more sense.
All right. So
or at least it's explained better.
Sure.
Like, because that was the other thing. Ed Wood never explained it. It just, the actors explained it, but just the voiceover during the whole thing and the Creswell at the beginning, no, it literally just seems like it's pieces of other things, like Chop Suey movie. Like, he just put pieces together and then tried to put a voiceover to make the story make sense. And I wouldn't have it that way. I would actually
doesn't really make sense. Where, like, the spaceship, like, kills it kills not vampire. It kills Ghoul Man, which is just like the stand-in for Bela Lugosi.
Yeah.
Kills him, not explained why. He just turns into a skeleton.
That's what I'm saying. None of if you look at it as a script, like, if the script was following a straight line, this thing would be like a heartbeat.
Right?
Like, you know, an EKG meter. Like, it's so, the script ideas and everything are so all over the place. But, like, somebody who tries to make movies and make short films and stuff, you see where he was going. You kind of see where he was going. So
yeah.
Just the essence of that is another reason where I'm like, I do have a soft spot for this just because of how bad it is.
Yeah.
But it's one of those that everybody always thinks about too. I mean, you know, they named the record store after it.
Sure.
So,
I mean, we've got a record store in town that's called Plan 9. So yeah,
exactly. So
part of
it made its mark. Yeah. So I feel like, and again, this is only using good script writers and a good director and, like, someone who understands the tone that I'm talking about. But yeah.
Well, and
taking those sharp edges of the script and, like, smoothing them down so that they make a little more sense.
Let's get into that then. Let's get into our different versions of this film before we run out of time just talking about the film itself.
Forgot about that.
No, understandable. Well, I don't think we're going to have to really get into the nuances of our choices too much with this at all. Honestly, the choices I made were really based on the directors that I had for my versions, and you could pretty much add whoever you wanted into the different roles, because, again, nobody has any tone in the original.
Yeah, it's not like you're trying to match anyone's performance.
No, they're just all speaking woodenly. You can just add whoever you want into here. So for your smoother corners, stylized version, 1950s set version of Plan 9 from Outer Space, who's your director? Who'd you cast? Who do you got here?
So director would be Fincher.
Oh wow!
Because
so you're really going for that.
Oh
stylized...
yeah. So another piece of the puzzle with that was Mindhunter.
Sure.
That, I mean, I feel like that's almost a similar tone. That was the 70s, but just the look and the feel. If you put that and Lovecraft Country next to each other, I feel like you're in the same universe going from the 50s to the 70s.
Okay, yeah, I totally see what you're saying. Yeah,
and Fincher did that. So with Mindhunter, so my brain immediately went to Fincher. Plus, I love Fincher anyway. So
yeah, fair enough.
So if I'm gonna have him make my favorite piece of crap, I mean, other than Alien 3.
Yeah, right. A David Fincher Plan 9 from Outer Space movie.
See?
From the guy that brought you Fight Club and The Social Network.
Well, Social Network was...
Yeah.
The period piece stuff, I give him some latitude because he told a good story.
Yeah.
I mean, about, the Zuck. But all the choices and all that stuff that he made and stylized look and everything, it was just, I just think he's great, so...
Fair enough.
Fight me.
I'm not gonna. So who do you have for your cast for this David Fincher bit?
This David Fincher reboot. So the only one that like immediately jumped out to me when I had this idea initially was the Tor Johnson role, and having Dave Bautista do it.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
You know, like obviously he's not fat, but I don't know if he would like. And I don't. Again, I'm not even married to the look of the characters. Like that's how.
Yeah, it could
I
be
am
anything. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's how loose I am with it. So, just that dynamic that should give you an idea of what I'm talking about with their look can change, and you know, vampire is not going to be this big around, and
sure,
you know what I mean, like the size and everything. None of that really mattered to me, and honestly,
it didn't really matter to me either.
Yeah, well, I took it further off the rails too, because it was even like, if there's a character that makes no sense, take them out. Like, I honestly feel like a ghoul girl and Bella Lugosi, like dressed as a vampire, blatantly as a vampire, that none of that would have to stick. Like you know what we're talking about when you do a remake and the essence of it and everything. It's just, I'm not even close to being married to that.
I disagree, only because there are some key elements that need to exist in order for it to really be the same thing. It's almost like the Dawn of the Dead remake was so different than the original Dawn of the Dead, but one thing that it had to be was in a mall. Like you take the mall away, and then because it was a parallel of society, whatever, consumerism. So you take out, you know, Vampira and Bela Lugosi, or the Ghoul Man and Vampire Girl out of it.
Well, and again, so in my version of it, and the way I was thinking of it, and this is why I was having a tough time, like, who to cast for it, for that would be for literally the Bela Lugosi and vampire roles. It could, in the story, what I meant was in the story, because in the movie, in Plan 9, the original, it's his wife and blah blah blah, and he's like, Bela Lugosi's like 70 years old, and then Vampira is like late 20s maybe, and that's supposed to be his life. Like it's all over the place. So again, keep the elements of the characters maybe, but not the same way. Like it could be a goth couple that dies, and they just so happen to look like that as a joke. You know what I mean? Like, just, I mean, as a little tongue in cheek.
If you were making it, we could probably find that pretty easily between our friends.
Oh yeah. It would be a lot of set dressing down the other people to look normal. Right? Everybody else just show up like you normally do.
Like, why does the detective have no eyebrows? It's like, oh, that's just Steve.
We'd have no problem casting that. Although finding good actors, different story.
Different story entirely, for sure. All right, so you got your tour as Dave Bautista.
Dave Bautista. And I only thought about like the main people that you like, even what you remembered, like the pilot and his wife. David Fincher likes to use the same actors sometimes too. So
a lot of directors do. Yeah.
The pilot, I immediately thought Armie Hammer.
Okay. Yeah.
From Social Network.
Yeah.
When he played two people too, which was kind of funny. But yeah, so having him as his name was Jeff, the pilot.
Jeff Trent.
Jeff Trent, the main pilot, yeah. And then his wife, I feel like I would hope they would punch her role up a little bit more, like not just like
that's any like, movie that was made before like 1998.
Like she was literally part of the set, like the palm tree was.
Women in the 1950s, their parts in movies like, well, I don't know why you're asking me. I'm just a little woman. I'm gonna go make you a sandwich. You know, that was the whole role.
So, but I would feel like they would have to show a little bit more dynamics. So my role for Jeff's wife was Anna Kendrick.
Okay.
Just because she's a lot smaller than Armie Hammer too, and I don't know, like keeping my mentality of nostalgia is weird. Like it was for watching this, it was like bullet bras and that women were smaller. Like I don't know why those things like stick when I think 50s is like, oh, the women were always tinier.
So you could have picked any woman because Armie Hammer is like
my brain is on
8 feet tall. He's an 8 foot tall man, so you could put basically any actress next to him and they're gonna look
true. But I guess I don't see him as being that tall. I know he is tall because he's definitely taller than me, but and I'm 6'1", but I don't know. I guess I just see the difference in height in my mind, and that literally is enough for me to go, yeah, and I like that actress. Like it was, I didn't go deep on it. I just thought who would look cool together. And
yeah, fair enough.
You know, she does comedy, and comedy actors tend to do a really good job with weird drama.
They say once you do comedy, you can do anything else. So
yeah. So I don't know. That jumped out to me was
fair enough. All right, who else you got?
So like I said, the three main, the Bela Lugosi, Thor would be Dave Bautista, and Vampira. I almost said Elvira. Sorry.
Well, no, and with Elvira, I thought long and hard about casting Elvira because I'm like, the modern day Vampire is Elvira, but there isn't anybody that is the direct. But I feel like you just have to kind of give it up and move away from that because then you're.
Well, she's also, not only is she still attractive, but she is much, much older than who I would feel like would make more sense in the role.
She was actually appropriately aged to be married to Bela Lugosi if they were
right. Yeah, if we use an old actor.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. So for the Vampira role, all I could think was, and it's actually, I realized after I thought about it, I was like, it'd be really cool if the woman who played Johnny Depp's mom in Sleepy Hollow would be, but then I realized she's actually the one who plays Vampira in Tim Burton's remake.
Oh, wow.
Or Tim Burton's thing. I was like, oh crap, that's the same actress. So that made me think, okay, yeah, let's do her because she's already played the same, like, you know what I mean? Like
she's already done
like one of those Hollywood tongue-in-cheek serendipitous things.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, so I had her as the Vampira role, coincidentally.
Yeah.
And then the Bela Lugosi role, the role would go much younger than.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Just so we're clear.
So
that
not an old man and a woman in her 20s.
Exactly.
Deal, yeah.
Oh crap! I thought I wrote it down. Apparently, I didn't write it down. Paul Giamatti.
Paul Giamatti.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. No, I totally see that working.
Yeah.
But it's not somebody I would have initially thought of right off the bat.
And I don't know how much younger he is than Bela Lugosi. I just see him,
but also the woman playing Vampira, now would be a little bit
roughly
older.
The same age.
Yeah, so they would be at least closer than Vampira and Bela Lugosi were.
Yeah, and I did remember the name of the actress. It was Lisa Marie.
Lisa Marie. Okay.
That's the chick. But again, not a huge name, but like some big names. Some I just feel like it needs all those things.
Sure.
And I don't want to hear anyone else's opinion. No. I don't want to hear who you cat. No.
Yeah, right. That's the end of the episode. We're doing a short one here.
See you later. Thanks. Bye. No, so those were the main ones I picked. And it was, if you think about it, everybody else is kind of, the only other person I tried to think of was for the main alien. And
see, I was debating on doing the commander or not, but actually Eros,
the really flamboyant one.
Yeah, but Eros, his right-hand man, actually has a lot more dialogue than the commander does. So that's what I meant. Who I ended up casting was Eros, not the commander guy, the like just under him.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yeah,
that's what I did too.
Yeah, okay,
that's what I did too. And
he's the one that has the you're stupid. He's the one that has that dialogue at the end.
Yeah, he's the one, you're stupid. Yeah. I think the biggest thing for that though is in my version of it, in my David Fincher version of it, because it's grittier, it doesn't even necessarily have to be commander and the two people dynamic. They would probably be just like for name references, like those three people would be the ones you see on the ship. But I feel like the ship would be a real spaceship movie ship.
Sure, there'd be more than just the three people on it, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. And I also see it more of like a weird. I actually had this role twice. I tried to pick the role twice, and maybe what I should have done was made one the commander and one the other. But in my brain, it was a mix between Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson.
Okay. I see what you're aiming for there, like the general.
Yeah. So I was trying to figure out who would be who, because I feel like if you tried to parallel those two characters from the original, there's nothing to compare it to. Other than the fact that the one is fairly flamboyant, maybe keep that element just for funsies.
Sure.
But then I would say throw that to McConaughey. But if you want to change it and make the commander be a badass, then make the commander Woody Harrelson.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It just played differently in my head. So I put both the names down, and then it's whoever we were talking about, that's what I would pick.
Yeah, just one can be the commander guy, one can be Eros, which is the other guy. Call it a day. You're good to go.
Exactly. I didn't know how granular you and I were going to get with this. So in my mind, it was,
I'm doing pretty
well, if he picks more than the 5 people I thought about.
I've got 7, but also
well, technically, I guess I do now too, because
Yeah, like, but also like these are just it's mainly casted by who the director is, so it's not really about like there's not a lot of thought into it's just who
in the same vein. I kind of went with the first thing that popped in my head, and a lot of those actors minus Lisa Marie have worked some capacity on something similar to a David Fincher movie too,
sure,
if not directly.
Yeah.
So my brain immediately goes to who the people he uses. Just like Christopher Nolan, he uses a lot of the same people, and you throw a new one in every once in a while.
That's what we do end up doing a lot on the show, is that you end up getting a reference. If there's an actor that's in every single movie that this director that you chose does, then you've got to figure out who that actor's gonna be in this version. Exactly. And that's always kind of fun for me, which is part of the reason that I was excited about choosing this director for my version of it. Right. I definitely doing the like kind of winking at how terrible this is, and doing kind of a not like shitting on, more of just like a real honor to the original, like celebrating.
So if you were to name a movie that you feel has done that before, what would be an example?
Well, actually, the director that I chose has done something similar to in the zombie genre, and recently with a little film by the name of The Dead Don't Die, and talking about the director of Ghost Dog, Coffee and Cigarettes, The Dead Don't Die, Jim Jarmusch. Directing a Plan 9 from Outer Space movie. So
okay, I can see that.
Totally just, bad set design, just like super campy and like really fake looking backgrounds in the background shots. Just really play in the like low budget world a little bit of like campy 1950s sci-fi, and have it set in the 1950s. Absolutely. I want it to be, I don't feel like this translates too well outside of the 1950s, like this kind of storyline. Yeah, well, it was all
the paranoia of the 50s. Yeah. Spacemen and nuclear war and...
Sure, and...
apparently zombie... Well, yeah, because Dawn of the Dead had been out and influenced those movies, at that point. So all that happening at the same time. Yeah, okay.
Well, Dawn of the Dead was in the 70s. Night of the Living Dead was 68.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought it was way earlier than
No. Night of the Living Dead was 1968.
Oh. Yeah, see? Old man brain.
Yeah, the same year that Martin Luther King was shot, there was a black man slapping a white woman on screen. So,
all right.
Yeah.
Little known fact.
Little known fact there, yeah. But no, Jim Jarmusch, he definitely has a way of having this kind of... It's not really breaking the fourth wall. The actors aren't talking to the
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Would
audience.
You have it... You said you'd have it set in the 50s.
Yeah.
And everything. And story-wise, that makes the most sense. But are you talking about... Because you were talking about booms coming in.
Yeah, I definitely want it to look like it's a poorly made version of the 1950s.
Okay, but not like someone... I thought you had said someone was filming a bad movie in the 50s. I thought you meant like breaking that one wall.
Oh, no,
making it a movie about a movie.
I thought about doing that, where you could do it like it's Ed Wood filming Plan 9.
But I think that's what Burton kind of did. So
exactly. That's just kind of stepping on something that's already been done. So no, I don't want to do that. It
is a remake.
Right? But I do want to...
this is a remake of the movie Ed Wood, not of Plan 9 from Outer Space. Sorry.
This is, the movie itself is set in the 1950s. But it's...
I get what you're going with.
Poor set design.
Based on what you said. Okay.
Yeah, it's all the stuff looks absolutely not real. There's no way that... It looks like it's trying to look real, and so it comes off as this like hyper realistic bad version of a thing that
yeah, I got you.
I think would be a total fun for all these actors to play in.
So you feel like they should film it like they're really back in the like the campiness level being similar then to being similar to how we view the original, not how it was intended.
I look at there's some movies like it happened in Ed Wood. There was a episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer that did it. There's a number of movies where good actors have to act badly in the scene where they're playing an actor that's a bad actor or something. And
I get what you're saying.
I always enjoy those scenes so much because how difficult it is for a good actor to act poorly. It's like when Steve Martin does the like clapping out of time thing with his stand-up, where he has rhythm. So that's really hard for him to clap out of time because you naturally go to it. It's like elastic.
Swimming upstream then.
Yeah. So I really want to see what these like great actors are going to do just playing it super
I
wooden,
gotcha.
or just like leaning in really hard in this like badly made set and like knocking shit over and just really playing in the sandbox of just bad 1950s sci-fi movie.
So would you do what I am doing and smooth the script down a little and do it that way? Or would you go like a Psycho frame-by-frame remake?
No, I don't think I would even do frame-by-frame remake. It might even be like questioning the direction of the plot in the movie, where it's like,
Okay.
why did you...
Did we mean to
say
this is what we're doing now? I got
mean to shoot the ghoul guy? Like, did somebody sit on the button, just like really like play it out that way, where you're kind of nodding to the nonsense that is this movie, but it's in the context of the actual movie.
I gotcha.
So, okay. I think these actors have so much fun. I had to cast a narrator because the narrator is so much an important part.
See, and what's funny is I got to the end of my casting and never even thought about that. And like putting a narrator over it didn't even factor into me because of the Fincher angle. But
yeah, Fincher. So, I don't think you would need a narrator really for your version.
that way he writes. That's what I mean. Like,
but for this version, I think it would be really fun to have someone doing a radio announcer voice. While everything's going on. I think it would be really fun to have this like snarky attitude to it as well as it's going. And an actor that has worked with Jim Jarmusch before that I think would be really fun to hear doing this is Steve Buscemi as the narrator over top of everything that's going down, with just this like shitty, like just smarmy kind of attitude about everything that's going on. Just does not want to be there. And it's just like mad about just like, here's this thing that
would kind of be a reversal from the original one too, because I think Ed Wood narrated it. I don't remember, but
no, it was I forget the name of the narrator, but was it? I don't remember. But
well, if you look up different stuff on him, there's like they credit him with a bunch of different things.
Sure,
so, but I didn't pay that close attention to the narrator, but the narrator was really the only person selling it. Like, that was the only person that was reading with enthusiasm.
And at the end, it's like, and as you're driving down the street in the night, look to the car to your left, look to the car to your right, and one of them might be from outer space.
Yeah.
Just really trying so hard to put it together.
Yeah.
So just Steve Buscemi is the narrator who's just exhausted trying to keep all these, like, nonsense moving parts to somehow be strung together, and is just tired of it. Would be so much fun for me. And then we're going into the actors. You've got Jeff Trent and Paula Trent, the married couple, the pilot and his wife. And I decided that, sticking with a lot of the actors that have done stuff with Jarmusch before, this is an actor that's been both in Patterson and The Dead Don't Die. For the pilot, I've got Adam Driver.
Okay.
Great actor. And also, I just think he would have a lot of fun playing the, like, grizzled 1950s hero guy. A little bit, and would kind of lean in, and he also was a soldier, so he can definitely like have that like stand, that the way you hold yourself is something that I think is missing sometimes in military movies, because the actors haven't actually been in the military. There is a certain way that my friends that have been in the military hold themselves from the training, and Adam Driver could definitely pull that off a little bit. So
yeah, I can see that,
and I think that would be kind of important to his hero role in this. Yeah. And then Paula Trent, his wife, also from The Dead Don't Die, just as the like wild-eyed 1950s wife, like, oh, what are we gonna do? And also, you have Armie Hammer, giant tall man. I got Adam Driver, and then I have a much smaller woman next to him with Chloe Sevigny.
Oh, okay.
So two actors that look like aliens in their own right.
Yeah, I was gonna say you picked the non-traditional
right.
Look, but I guess he does that in his movie. When he's directed movies, he tends to pick
weird looking people.
Yeah. Well, they're usually the most interesting.
Sure. And that's
people are
kind
boring.
That's this whole thing is how this goes. We've got Ghoul Man, formerly Bela Lugosi, and I had struggle figuring out how to do this because it's stock footage of Lugosi, and then it's like, what is it, Ed Wood that's like the vampire dude?
Otherwise, no, just his dentist, I think.
His dentist or something, yeah. So just a dude. But I just wanted to make it cohesive as one person, but also do it as somebody that like make sure that all their shots are done in one day. Like the actor comes in for one day, shoots all the shots, so it's like whatever you end up getting in that day, it just gets reused throughout to kind of as an homage to.
as you were describing that, my thought was, like the scenes as they're filmed. Movies are never filmed in order,
right?
But as they put the movie together, just have like that day he showed up with his hair like trimmed or his beard different or what, whatever, something that like over time would change. And then like as the pieces are filmed, you see like different, you could have a background thing of like, yeah, like his hair is the different shape in this thing, and like no continuity for the one actor.
That
like,
could
when
also
you started to describe
work.
it, that's where my brain went.
That could absolutely work.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
But I decided for a ghoul actor and entertainer that looks like a ghoul anyway, and has been both the focus of a Jim Jarmusch documentary and also has been in a couple Jim Jarmusch movies, both. I
like you just like saying his name like
Jim Jarmusch. I do enjoy it. But he's been in Coffee and Cigarettes and The Dead Don't Die as Cool Man Iggy Pop coming in there, just looking undead without any makeup.
Yeah. I mean, how do we know he's really not at this point?
Right? It's that macrobiotic diet that he's on is the only thing that's keeping him alive, and just like the amount of like just dormant drugs in his system from the 1970s.
Yeah, he's just basically old drugs and prehistoric enzymes in the skin, skin in the shape of Iggy Pop.
Exactly. Like, yeah, it's not even Iggy Pop. Like, his body has like all the cells have become self-aware and chose to stick together to remain.
It's like, we may as well ride this out.
Right. And then as a vampire girl, it was kind of a no-brainer when we're talking about the director, the actress to play vampire girl from Only Lovers Left Alive, from The Dead Don't Die. Tilda Swinton.
Oh, yeah.
Would be a great vampire girl. She's definitely got that like lanky.
I don't know that she's so good though. I don't know that she'd be able to act poorly.
I don't know. She definitely goes a little weird.
Can a really good actor act poorly, or is that like how would you rate that?
That's something that you like ask a question about to a robot, so that they're like they end up self-destructing. Is like, is an actor so good that they can act poorly and therefore be a bad actor, and it's like does not compute and then just explodes.
You've
like,
broken one of the robot laws.
Can Tilda Swinton act poorly on purpose? Like does not know.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know that I could see her act poorly on purpose. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know that she's capable of that. Which makes it so weird. It is. It's like the chicken and the egg thing. Like, I can't.
She's definitely
wrap my brain around it.
Very campy and weird in roles like Dead Don't Die. Also, her role in Snowpiercer definitely went very hammy with her role in that. And so, if it's not bad acting, she can at least do like the Kurt Russell school of acting approach to it and just go big with everything in the role. So it's probably good acting, but just like playing with it a little bit more. So
almost like Bela Lugosi in female form.
Right? Kind of. Yeah.
I can see. Okay, yeah.
So we got, Tilda Swinton as Vampire Girl. Then we got Eros, the alien dude that has the like, you're shit, your people are awful. Humans are going to destroy the universe conversation. And I'm not even going to give like the dialogue to this actor and put him in there as Eros, as the alien, and just let him kind of do his own thing, let him play in the space, come up with his own stuff. Bill Murray has to be the alien. Has to be the alien. Like, I was trying to think of if he should be the narrator, because he would do great as a narrator. No, I want him to just Bill Murray that role and just do whatever he wants with it. Just play around, push some buttons. It was like, is this the coffee maker? Just going around and just kind of improving everything.
Letting him go.
Yeah, letting him fully go. Dressed in
off the chain.
A really bad 1950s like alien/knight costume or whatever the fuck that dude was wearing in there.
Yeah, whatever. So you wouldn't make the wardrobe any better?
No, I'm making just as bad.
You're fully committed. Absolutely. I guess.
And then finally,
you went much more remake than I did.
I guess kind of a love letter to the original, I guess, is more the approach.
An uber homage.
Yeah. The thing that I've always loved about Plan 9 is that it is so bad that it almost goes around and becomes good. It's kind of like to 1950 sci-fi is Plan 9 as the Germs is to like punk rock, where the Germs are so bad, like they're so bad and basic that they almost become good. Like there's something hypnotic about their music because of how bad they are at their instruments.
Yeah, there's a couple of, there's a handful of punk bands you could say that
Yeah,
about.
sure. But I feel like and Jarmusch definitely has kind of this like punk rock tone to his movies. So I thought it would be fun to like bring some originals together. You've got like the original like punk sci-fi like director Ed Wood, and then Jim Jarmusch doing, you know, a remake of Plan 9 from Outer Space. It would be so much fun.
Oh yeah.
And then of course you got to get
I'm seeing it.
You got to get somebody from the Wu-Tang in here to do this thing. So, and also because it doesn't have to make sense. I understand it's 1955 or whatever, whenever this movie came out, that it makes no sense for there to be a black lieutenant in the police force. But fuck it, the RZA is Lieutenant Harper because he's been in Coffee and Cigarettes. He's in The Dead Don't Die. Don't explain it. Just completely ignore all the overt racism that definitely existed in the 1950s. Leave it
out of the 50s.
Leave it completely out of the 50s. Doesn't make sense. I don't care. It's a remake of Plan 9 from Outer Space. There's vampire zombies raised from the dead by aliens, so fuck it. You know, there's also not racism, apparently. Like, let's just... This is our...
multiverse.
Yes,
the
exactly.
Ed Wood multiverse.
Exactly. So that's my real take. Did you come up with, like, a fun take version of this, or...
I feel like Tim Burton already made the fun take, so right? I couldn't. I mean, because for that movie being about Ed Wood, it's mostly about Plan 9. There's a little Glenn or Glenda in there,
sure.
And there's some other stuff, but it's primarily about Plan 9.
Well, that's why my fun version. Like, honestly, Jim Jarmusch is a fun version. I mean, that's still like
I was gonna say yours is more of a like. Just picturing it in your choices, I feel like I can see what you're talking about.
It's like a caricature.
I can see that still being a good bad version of it.
Yeah.
But yeah. But just well done and filmed well, but intentionally of bad.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. Yeah.
I thought about doing it totally the other way for my fun, and I'm not going to get into like the casting choices because it's just kind of common sense nonsense bullshit. But I thought it'd be so fun to take the granddaddy of bad movies, and that became a cult classic because of how bad it was, and people enjoyed watching and laughing at just how tragically bad this movie was, and put it in the hands of a modern auteur who got popular due to just how tragically bad that their movie was, and just see what they're going to do with this classic, cult classic bad movie as a truly, genuinely, not intentionally bad director. So if Tommy Wiseau did Plan 9 from Outer Space, what would that look like is my remix version of this.
I gotcha.
And then because he's got new best friends in Hollywood, with James Franco and crew, you threw a couple of them in there just to make it even more meta.
Yeah.
So you've got the narrator as James Franco. You got Jeff Trent, the pilot, as Dave Franco. And then his real life wife, Allison Brie, who was also in The Disaster Artist, as the wife, Paula Trent. And you could do this in a weekend. You could film this in a weekend.
Yeah, nowadays you could easily.
Tommy Wiseau is like a one-take wonder. He's like, it's good enough. Like, he does not care, so it's fine. Then you've got Ghoulman, played by Greg Sestero or whatever, from The Room. Yeah, the dude from The Room. That was played by Dave Franco in The Disaster Artist. Yeah. And then Vampire Girl is Juliette Danielle, who was Lisa in The Room. So he's just reusing all the same actors from The Room, and then also actors from The Disaster Artist, because he can. And honestly, if Tommy Wiseau called James Franco and was like, I make Plan 9 from Outer Space, you come be in my movie, he'd probably be like, you know what? Fuck it. Yes, I'm in. Let's do this. Then you've got for Eros, the alien, you absolutely have to have Tommy Wiseau play the like message of taking care of your planet and not destroying the universe message.
That also gives me anxiety just imagining that, imagining him do that. Well, like my throat closed up a little bit. Right?
I did not raise the dead. I did not. Oh, hi, Earth.
Yeah.
It would be so bad. And then Lieutenant Harper, the detective guy that's going around that doesn't get turned into a zombie. You get who in the Disaster Artist, and also a lover of old sci-fi and horror as well in his own right, Paul Scheer.
Oh, okay.
And I think he would just have so much fun being like, I'm just happy to be included. Would just be there, just happy
glad to be here, guys.
Yeah, just glad to be here.
Yeah.
So that was my take for just a weird version. it's almost like maybe the only way you can do a remake of Plan 9 from Outer Space is having a director who is truly as bad as Ed Wood was at making movies.
Well, then you're gonna like my idea.
Okay.
Well, I don't know. We'll see how you're. So I just kept it dark. I kept the whole thing dark. So, but my original take with Fincher and everything was stylized and clean and just well done. My only other idea take would be, and this is because some people consider what he did sacrilege, Rob Zombie doing a Plan 9.
Wow. Oh, so it would be just like really gross and brutal version.
Yeah, like all the things you couldn't do in the 50s brought into stunning life and or death in his hands. Yeah, and I liked the Halloween remake. The sequel was terrible. I liked the first one just because
We're going to agree to disagree on the Halloween remake there.
What's that?
We're going to agree to disagree on the Halloween remake there.
I know, that's why I said some people feel a certain way. But that I like modern takes on things I would never have thought to redo, if that makes sense. Like,
sure,
modern takes on things like Suspiria they redid and like things that were like you would almost say they're too far away. They're in such a different time
that you can't really
redo it.
Yeah,
because I mean, think about it. Because Plan 9 was like 70 years ago.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like that, the difference in space in that makes me, I do like it a lot when somebody does a remake and they either modernize it or whatever. And, I'm in a small camp. Some people did not, they're, but that's also when you saw a movie for the first time. You obviously, some people start late and they don't see the original movie. They see the remake first. Like, they made a book of that, like that sort of thing, like mentality. Sure. You know what I mean? So, yeah, just to see, because I mean, House of a Thousand Corpses, I almost feel like is the horror movie version of Jim Jarmusch, like you were talking about. Like, I feel like I don't know, it was like, it's its own thing. And mentally, I just see, I feel like, I'm going to shoot myself for this later, but I feel like Rob Zombie could be compared to the Ed Wood of that time. Because Ed Wood loved all those old movies and loved all the movies of the Atom and all that stuff, and he tried to put it all together into one movie.
And Rob Zombie definitely did the same thing with the House of a Thousand Corpses, where we're like evil doctor, like murder family.
Like when that movie went to that, when I originally saw it, I was like, oh, he's trying to be like this. Like the whole first part of the movie, I'm going, are these guys just this bad? Like, what the hell is that? I mean, you know what I mean? Like, it took me a minute. And it obviously took rewatching and stuff later on. But when I first saw it in the theater, when it came out, when that switched over and it was like down in Dr. Satan area, I'm like, are we still watching the same movie? What the hell is happening?
They drop into the pit and it ended up being on another movie set underneath?
Yeah.
Somebody else directing something else?
Yeah. So like putting that, I feel like Rob Zombie has just a better way of doing things, but I feel like that's the energy he's putting out there. You know what I mean? So to put Plan 9 into his hands, it's not like anybody absolutely loved Plan 9 anyway. So
it's already trash. Like it's already bad.
It would be you can only improve on it. You can light it on fire and throw blood at it. Like that's it's already trash. Just light it on fire.
Nice.
But that's what that was my only other idea. And I originally thought about pitching that because that was like it was a toss up between the two. But then the more I thought about Lovecraft and Fincher and everything, I was like, nah, I like that.
You like the stylized one, yeah. It's tough because I oftentimes end up with multiple versions that I have to like narrow down to which one I wanted to do. Of course, the thought came by of Burton, but it's also like you kind of already saw like the behind the scenes making of Tim Burton version. So
I feel like I said, I feel like that's almost like adjacent.
And like Tim Burton already had his own Plan 9 from Outer Space movie with Mars Attacks, so like we don't need him to do another like flying saucer attacks Earth movie. Like we already got that. That's brilliant. I love that one. Let's not
let's not mess it up.
Mess it up with a different one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I like your idea of like how bad would a Rob Zombie Plan 9 from Outer Space movie be?
But good bad. Like I feel like a lot of the people who watch movies and a lot of the people who like certain kinds of movies also have the same mentality as Ed Wood.
Sure.
Like, just like I'm watching a movie. Like, that's what's exciting. It doesn't have to be good. My stepkid thinks that Supergirl is the greatest show on TV. And I'm like, you also put ketchup on your steak. Like, I can't, like when you get older, it will make more sense that this was horrible. Like that kind of stuff.
The horrible
Except for
part
maybe
of
the Kevin Smith directed episodes. Wink, wink, nudge.
Yeah, right. No, but sometimes the horrible nature of it is what makes it good. I mean, there's so many trash horror movies out there in sci-fi or whatever that I've come to know and love. Hell, my girlfriend and I, we watch really bad, like, romantic comedies that were like Hallmark Channel movies and shit. Just because they're so bad. Like the Ed Wood's like, look at this crap. Like, it's just that it's the same, like, 4 actors that are in every single one of them. And it's the acting is bad. The sets are terrible. The dialogue is terrible, and we'll roast the fuck out of them. And it's so much fun because there's nothing sacred about it. You don't feel bad about it at all. You are certain that they know that they're making a pile of trash, but they only have 10 grand. So fuck it. They have 10 grand a movie. They have 3 weeks.
9,000 of that's to pay the 3rd level C-list actress that happened to do it this way.
Yeah. Like Dean Cain is pulling a whole 8 grand for this film. So we've really got to be tight. Craft services is just a bunch of, like, McDonald's hamburgers. Like, that's all
it's the Jon Favreau taco truck pulling up out front.
Right?
Yeah, we're filming season 3. You guys need food for this thing you're doing?
Hallmark Channel movie, yeah. So, yeah, even when movies are really bad, sometimes they're still fun to watch. So, and that's kind of where Ed Wood lives, is in that weird little world of it being so bad that it's kind of good. And,
that's what I was saying. That the kind of people that, like, I don't want to say the kind of people that like Rob Zombie movies, because I kind of like some of them. Thank you very much. But I feel like they have the Ed Wood mentality. I feel like I kind of do, honestly. I think that's why I fit into the niche. Like, sometimes I just like watch. My wife hates me for it sometimes, because we'll be watching a movie. It's like, do you see that moon shadow? And she's like, will you shut up and let me watch the movie? I'm like, but it's terrible. Like, there's no continuity, and but I still like watching because I just like the universe of movies, period.
Sure.
So I feel like those are the kind of people that would go see it too if we just let it turn into a blood and gut fest from Rob Zombie.
Absolutely. So you know that the Ghoul Man and Vampire Girl wouldn't just, like, judo chop people to make them fall down. Yeah. Like, there would be some viscera happening.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
all right, so
that was my other idea, but yeah.
Before we go into our trailers for our versions, I wanted to see if you had any ideas for mashups. Like, of anything else that you wanted to, like, throw in, just another film, another show that you
nothing to do with this?
No, that would be mashed up with Plan 9 from Outer Space.
Oh, yeah. I was like, that kind of goes off topic.
Well, like, an example, I thought of one that would be interesting is that if you have the events of Plan 9 from Outer Space happening at the exact same time that the day the Earth stood still was happening, but it's 2 different alien species that didn't know the other ones were showing up. So they just ended up happening upon Earth to tell them about, like, cool your jets. That's the same fucking warning. Just like, you gotta cool your jets or we're gonna have to destroy you. Like, it's one or the other. But they're like,
you're gonna kill, I'm gonna kill you. You kill me, kill. Okay.
And they're just kind of, like, weirdly competitive about it, on who's the one that has to be taken seriously.
And then it turns into Alien versus Predator.
Right. Perfect.
I see where you're doing. No, I guess the only mashup, like, in the mix for that for me would be just meshing it with, I don't know, maybe even with the Lovecraft Country. If I was having it made the way I envisioned it, you could see things happening in the background that were involved in Lovecraft Country. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Oh, they're filming, like, almost the Ryan Reynolds shot where he was on his phone against the wall.
Oh,
and you
right.
can see and then in the movie you see, like, you're watching Lovecraft Country and you see them filming Plan 9 behind them, but, like, not actually filming, but you see the actors in the background, like, almost like a Grey's Anatomy Station 19 crossover.
Is that a thing that they did?
Oh, they do it all the time.
Oh, wow.
I have to watch those.
I'm sorry.
Marriage.
That's unfortunate.
Well, if I'm laying in the same bed.
Not your marriage. Your marriage is like that fact you have to watch those.
If I'm laying in the same bed and she wants to watch it, I'm going to watch it. But
yeah, fair.
Then you get hooked, and now I know the characters' names, and damn it.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're going to cross over Lovecraft Country with your version, and
but like they exist in the same universe.
Yeah, but I've always wanted to have more movies that do that, where it's not even really
They don't even
like,
have to. Yeah,
they
makes
don't
sense to me.
Like, it's just that it's happening at the same time. Stuff.
Yeah, where something happened and it's referenced in another thing, and then all of a sudden we're a universe. Yeah.
Like, I would have loved if more movies just ended up putting like the TARDIS in the background with like with like a dude running into it really quick, and then the next scene it's gone, and it's never mentioned. It's never part of the plot. Has nothing to do with anything.
Just a common thing.
Just a common thing in movies.
This is the Doctor Who universe.
There's like the Wilhelm scream is in every movie, and then there's just a TARDIS somewhere in the background in all movies. Would be the most brilliant thing ever. I would love it so much.
Now there's going to be a whole bunch of videos on YouTube of people going in and digitally inserting TARDISes in classic movies.
Oh, I would love it so much.
Yeah.
But okay, so we are at our trailers. I'm definitely doing my Jim Jarmusch version here. I'm assuming doing the Lovecraft Country treatment to your trailer.
Yeah, and I had nothing like. So Fincher trailers don't have a lot of dialogue typically, not even of the people. Like hell, the Social Networking trailer was literally just like, I think there's only like 10 words in the whole thing.
Yeah,
because it's just all the serious looks and the.
Well, you can always just do a teaser trailer if you want for it. So it doesn't have to be. It does not have to be fancy. But let me cue up the music.
From the director that brought you The Dead Don't Die and Coffee and Cigarettes comes a fantastical voyage through space in a rush to save the human race. Join Jim Jarmusch on his adventures with Steve Buscemi as narrator, Adam Driver as Jeff, Paula, his wife, played by Chloe Sevigny, and Iggy Pop and Tilda Swinton as the creepy ones in Jim Jarmusch's Plan 9 from Outer Space. Coming to a home near you because it's still the era of COVID.
Okay, cool. That was terrible. So
it's leaps above what I literally have like 3 sentences, and none of it mentions the actors.
Okay, well, I made that up off the cuff, so
all right.
Don't worry. Setting the bar low like Ed Wood did with his movies. So here we go.
Good, then I'll be right at home.
So you're doing the David Fincher one. Here we go.
Evil aliens attack Earth and set their terrible Plan 9 into action. As the aliens resurrect the dead of the Earth, the lives of the living are in danger. This summer, Plan 9 from Outer Space.
I saw it more in my head than as a trailer.
Okay, well, that was a trailer, I guess, for your
teaser. I meant it to be a
teaser. Correct? Yeah, absolutely. Mine was a teaser as well, as far as anyone knows. So yeah, that was very enjoyable, just to kind of celebrate like the weird nature of filmmaking, where sometimes even the worst films end up becoming like lauded by like large groups of people for just how bad it is. And
well, I figured if we were going to do it, it's going to parallel with how some people think of me. Goofy and campy and
so bad that it's
together
good.
There and forgetting dialogue constantly, apparently.
All right, well, Carlton, if anybody wants to check out the stuff that you've done, like Spiderbite Studios or your podcast or any of the other stuff that you've done, where can they go to get that stuff?
Yeah. The SpiderbiteStudios.net is the main page. Spiderbite Studios on Facebook. I'm the Carltron on Twitter. Started using that again a little bit more for getting out there for the comedy stuff I'm doing.
Nice.
And then, most of the Help Wanted, all that stuff's linked off of the other things, as well as previous episodes I've done of everything else.
Yeah, also on a show from Spiderbite Studios, if you want to look at like the early days of Geeks Under the Influence, I think it was like within year 1 that we went on Black Leather Couch, your old interview show. And there's old footage of us.
I actually don't have access to that YouTube page anymore after the conglomeration changeover. So you guys are like immortalized there. I can't ever change it, take it down, delete it, nothing.
Wow.
I have no access anymore. But it still has my company name on it. So
wow. All right. Well,
there we go.
There we go.
Locked in time.
Can't take that away from me.
Yep.
All right. Well, Carlton, thanks so much for guesting on this episode. That was a lot of fun to dig into the weird and wild world of 1950s atomic Red Scare sci-fi movies.
But even crappier than that.
But even crappier than that. So definitely check out next week for another episode of Smack My Pitch Up. Remember, we are doing every other week of the actual guests, movie pitches and remakes versions. And then on the opposite weeks, either with just me or with a guest, we're going to be doing what we call the short list, where we come up with original pitches for different stuff. So it's not a remake or reboot, it's actual original stuff. So we can get as fully buck wild as we want on those episodes as well, and just come up with some weird ideas. So join us next week for that one on Smack My Pitch Up. Thanks again, Carlton, and you just got pitch smacked.
GUIPodcast.com.
My name is Amy Bogard.
And I'm Mike the Hobbit.
And we are the hosts of Deeply Upsetting, where we use our expertise to answer your most upsetting hypothetical quandaries, such as, what non-winged animal deserves wings?
And what body part deserves a secret mouth?
Which cryptid is the worst roommate?
These questions and more that plague you will be answered on Deeply Upsetting, available anywhere you get your podcasts and at GUIPodcast.com.
Coming straight from the mouths of madness, I'm Lowdown.
I'm F.U. Hunter.
Do you love horror?
We fucking do.
So this is a podcast dedicated to all things in cinematic horror. We're talking movies, television, composers, special effects artists. We're gonna fucking cover it.
So if you love horror,
embrace the madness.
Hey guys, Scotty Big Daddy Preston here. That's right, the Geek Father, asking you to join me here every other week with friends and family of the GUI Network as we go through all the trials and tribulations of being a geeky parent. So remember, join us or cry.